let's go ahead now and walk through setting up our environment. So first thing I'm going to do is just go here to my browser. Now I happen to be using Google Chrome, but you can use whatever your favorite browser is. And we're going to go is over here to developer.android.com. Now that is the home of everything we do in terms of Android development. That's really kind of our home base. It's effectively our MSDN website coming from the Microsoft world. And there's a number of things on here. Now as developers, although we've got this developers tab over here, I find the place I spend most of my time is I click on this little develop link here. That takes me over to this section. And there's some things here. Reference gives us kind of the class by class documentation. API guides gives us some kind of descriptions of how some things work. And training are some simple walkthroughs on how to do a few things. All right, to get our environment set up, we're going to head over here to the tools section. Now this first page it takes you to, it's just kind of an overview of the various tools. It's worth a read, but it doesn't really give you what you need to get set up. Right? What you want to do is go over here to where it says download. We'll click on that. And here we are. We see download the SDK, ADT bundle for Windows. Right? That's what we want. Now I'm working on Windows, so that makes sense. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and kick off this download. At the time of this recording, this download is about like a half a gig or so, around 400 or 500 meg. So we're going to go ahead and kick that off. First thing we have to do is accept our terms and conditions. I read the messages, so I'm going to say yes. I have a 64-bit machine here, so I'll go ahead and choose that. And then we'll say download the SDK bundle for Windows. So my download is now complete. So what we're going to do now is go out to the file system. I have my machine set up right now for everything's default, so my downloads go to the download folder. And what you've got here is a zip file. So what we need to do is go inside that zip file and extract its contents to work on it. Right. So now if you have something like WinZip installed, you can use that to do it. Here I'm just using the default way of Windows to get to it. So all I'm going to do is go in here and say copy it. I'm going to put it where I want it. Now I structure my machine so I have this work folder. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go ahead and just paste that inside of here. Now at this point, this can actually, depending on your machine speed and disk speed, this can take a few minutes for this part to run. All right, once the unzipping is complete, believe it or not, you now have your ADT bundle installed. There's not a whole bunch of stuff to do after that. I go right inside that folder. We'll talk about this SDK manager shortly. Go inside the Eclipse folder here, and you'll find that there's my Eclipse icon. Right, so one of the things I always like to do is just go ahead and grab this, copy it. I'm just going to go ahead and paste it on my desktop. Just put that out here. So just have a shortcut to it. So let's go ahead and run that now. And we do, you'll notice that the first thing you get saying that, hey, you don't have the Java development kit. And that's one of the things that just a little frustrating, I think, is that when we go to that web page, it wasn't immediately obvious about, that we need a Java development kit. They kind of made it feel like the bundle was there, right? So what we need to do is go out and get that. It's still really easy. We just need to go ahead and do it, right? So what I'm going to do is go ahead and close this guy up, go back to my web page. Now I'm back on that same page we are where we got the bundle. And what we want to do is we scroll down here. We want to open up this system requirements section here. And it's kind of funny because if you read this, it feels like, oh, geez, I got to go get all this other stuff, Eclipse and plugins. You've done all that already. The bundle took care of all that. The thing you're looking for is this guy here, the JDK. And it's important to look and see what version of the JDK they want you to have. Right? So if we go inside of here and we go ahead and click on JDK 6, the thing that's a little confusing is that you think you're good to go. You get here. The problem is, you go, oh, JDK, let me grab that. The problem is, notice that that's JDK 7. If you install that, you're not going to have a good day. Right? What we need to do is scroll down here just a little ways and find the one for JDK 6. So we scroll on down. You find that here we are. Here's JDK 6. That's the guy we really want. So we're going to go ahead and click on download for that. As we do that, we'll scroll down here. We have to go ahead and accept the license. So we'll do that. And then what we do now is go find our platform. So I'm running Windows x64. So I'm going to go here and just kind of grab that. We'll go ahead and do that download as well. We'll let that run. And then once that download's complete, I'm going to head out here to my downloads folder. There's my JDK. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. Go ahead and go through all the things we go through. Say yes, go ahead and let it run as administrator. Click through next by next. I go ahead and take the default installation. All right, so now we get to this point asking us where destination folder. I'm going to go ahead and take the default destination folder on that. So we'll just say next on that. We now let the rest of the installation run. And you should now end up with a successfully installed window, and that's what we were looking for. Right, I just want to go ahead and close this. Now, if all went well, I should be able to go back over to Eclipse now. Let's just double click on that. And this time we see Eclipse starting up with the Android developer tools telling us it's there. And in fact, we'll watch as it comes up. Initially, Eclipse shows with its standard icon, but once it comes all the way up, it'll even flip to an Android-based icon. Now, you notice that when the way Eclipse works is that it groups things into what's called workspaces. Workspaces are loosely like Visual Studio solutions. They're not quite as tightly coupled. They're more just a grouping of projects. For right now, I'm just going to go ahead and take the default one. As we work later, I'll change that, but just going to just take the default. So I'll say OK. And we should find now is that Eclipse will come right up. And so here we are inside of Eclipse. One of the things they're asking me is kind of the classic thing. Do you want to contribute user statistics to Google? In other words, do you want to send information to Google about what you're using and what you're not? I'm going to go ahead and let it do that and say finish. And when you first get here, the first time this happened to me, I was a little confused because I was kind of like, what do I do now? This is just a welcome window. Let's just go ahead and close that right by clicking on the close here. And here you go. Now here's an environment that looks much more familiar to what we're used to, right? Is that it's got the layout with a package and everything inside there. And so now we're all set. We've got our Eclipse Android development environment fully installed.